The shrill alarm on Carter Griffin's phone jolted him awake at 5:30 a.m., the same way it had for the past 4 years since Julie had left, taking half their savings but leaving him with the most precious gift, their daughter, Lily. He silenced the alarm with a groan and rolled out of bed, his feet hitting the cold floor of the studio apartment they called home. "Daddy." 6-year-old Lily's sleepy voice came from the futon in the corner that doubled as her bed. "Go back to sleep, princess," Carter whispered, padding across the small space to tuck her blanket around her shoulders. "It's still early." Carter moved quietly to the kitchenette, starting the coffee maker, a thrift store find that worked just well enough. The rent was due in 3 days, and he was still short by $200. The maintenance job at Westbrook Tower paid decently, but between Lily's after-school care, groceries, and the medical bills from her asthma flare-up last month, he was perpetually treading water. He showered quickly, dressed in his navy uniform, and packed Lily's lunch, a peanut butter sandwich, an apple, and the last juice box. By 6:15, he gently woke his daughter, helped her dress, and braided her hair the way she liked it, with the sparkly hair tie her teacher had given her. "Remember, Mrs. Patel is picking you up today," Carter reminded her as they hurried to the bus stop. "I have to work late." "Extra money for the rent?" Lily asked, her small face serious. Carter's heart clenched. No 6-year-old should understand financial struggles. "Yes, sweetheart. But don't worry about that, okay? That's grown-up stuff." After seeing Lily safely onto her school bus, Carter caught the downtown express, arriving at Westbrook Tower by 7:30. The gleaming 80-story building housed some of the city's wealthiest residents and most prestigious businesses. His boss, Frank, was waiting in the maintenance office, coffee in hand. "Griffin, glad you're here. We've got a problem with the HVAC on the penthouse floor. Miss Nelson's assistant called twice already." Carter nodded, grabbing his tool belt. Amelia Nelson was the building's most famous resident tech entrepreneur, philanthropist, and according to last month's Business Weekly, worth roughly $300 million. He'd never met her personally. Maintenance requests usually came through her staff. The morning passed in a blur of clogged drains and flickering lights. By noon, Carter had made his way to the upper floors. He was just finishing a light fixture repair on the 78th floor when his radio crackled. "Griffin, we've got an emergency. Elevator 3 is stuck between floors 79 and 80. There's someone inside." Carter sprinted to the service stairs. "On my way. Have you called the elevator company?" "They're an hour out. Building management wants us to try getting the doors open first." When Carter reached the 79th floor, Frank was already there with the building manager, standing in front of the closed elevator doors. "Who's inside?" Carter asked, reaching for his tools. "Miss Nelson herself," the manager replied, looking pale. "She's been in there for 15 minutes. Carter moved quickly, inserting the emergency key into the outer doors. "Madam, this is Carter from maintenance. I'm going to try to get you out. Are you all right?" A composed female voice answered from inside. "I'm fine, just a bit warm. The emergency phone isn't working." "Okay, I'm going to pry these doors open. Stand back from the doors if you can." Carter worked the outer doors open, revealing the top half of the elevator car stuck about 4 feet below the landing. Inside, a woman with auburn hair pulled into a neat bun was standing calmly, though a sheen of sweat glistened on her forehead. She wore an elegant charcoal suit that probably cost more than his monthly rent. "Hello," she said with surprising calm. "I appear to be stuck." "I can see that," Carter replied with a reassuring smile. "The elevator company is on their way, but I can help you out now if you'd like." He lay flat on the floor, extending his arms down into the elevator. "If you can reach up, I can pull you out." Amelia Nelson looked uncertain for a moment, then nodded, stepping carefully onto the handrail that ran along the elevator's interior. She reached up, grasping Carter's forearms. He locked his hands around her wrists. "On 3, jump up a little and I'll pull. 1, 2, 3. With surprising strength, Carter lifted her clear of the elevator and onto the floor beside him. For a moment, they were face to face, close enough that he could see the flecks of gold in her green eyes and smell her subtle jasmine perfume. "Thank you," she said, slightly breathless as she straightened her suit jacket. Up close, Carter realized she was younger than he'd expected, probably in her early 30s like him. That was rather undignified but effective. "Sometimes the simplest solutions work best," Carter replied, helping her to her feet. "Are you sure you're okay? Should we call someone?" "I'm perfectly fine, just running late for a meeting." She extended her hand. "Amelia Nelson. Carter Griffin, maintenance." He shook her hand, acutely aware of his calloused palm against her smooth skin. "Sorry about the elevator. They're usually very reliable." "Well, Mr. Griffin, you've turned an inconvenience into a timely rescue." Her smile transformed her face, softening the professional facade. "I won't forget it." The building manager rushed forward. "Miss Nelson, please accept our deepest apologies. We'll have someone escort you to your meeting." She waved him off. "No need for apologies or escorts. Mr. Griffin has already sorted things out quite efficiently." With a final nod to Carter, she walked away, phone already in hand. Frank clapped Carter on the shoulder. "Good work, Griffin. Could have been a PR nightmare." Carter watched her disappear around the corner, thinking that in another life, under different circumstances, he might have asked someone like her for coffee. Then he remembered the unpaid rent notice and Lily's need for new sneakers, and reality crashed back in. The rest of the day went by in a blur of work orders and repairs. By the time his shift was scheduled to end, Carter was exhausted, but agreed to stay for an extra 3 hours to help with a water leak in one of the commercial spaces on the lower floors. It was nearly 8 p.m. when Carter finally left the building, his shoulders aching and stomach growling. He'd called Mrs. Patel twice to check on Lily, who was happily watching a movie with Mrs. Patel's granddaughter. As he pushed through the revolving doors into the cool night air, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down, revealing Amelia Nelson's face. "Mr. Griffin," she called. "I was hoping to catch you." Carter stopped, surprised. "Miss Nelson, is everything all right?" "Another elevator issue?" "No, nothing like that," she smiled. "I wanted to thank you properly. Do you have time for dinner?" Carter hesitated, thinking of Lily. "That's very kind, but I need to pick up my daughter from a neighbor's house." "I understand," Amelia replied, then paused. "Perhaps another time. I really would like to express my gratitude." Something in her expression, a genuine warmth, made Carter nod. "Sure, that would be nice." "Wonderful." She handed him a business card. "My direct number is on the back. Give me a call tomorrow." As the car pulled away, Carter stared at the embossed card, wondering what exactly had just happened. The next day was Saturday, and Carter woke to Lily jumping on his bed, excited about their weekend tradition of pancakes and cartoons. As they sat at their small table eating misshapen blueberry pancakes, Carter found himself thinking about Amelia Nelson and the business card still in his wallet. "Daddy, you're not watching," Lily complained, pointing to the animated characters on their second-hand TV. "Sorry, sweetie." He focused on his daughter, pushing thoughts of elegant auburn-haired millionaires out of his mind. After breakfast, they walked to the neighborhood park. While Lily played on the swings, Carter finally pulled out his phone and the business card. Before he could overthink it, he dialed the number. To his surprise, Amelia answered on the second ring. "Hello, Miss Nelson, it's Carter Griffin from Westbrook Tower. Mr. Griffin, I'm glad you called." Her voice sounded warmer, less formal than yesterday. "About that dinner." "Actually, I was wondering if you'd consider a different type of thank you," Carter said, watching Lily pump her legs on the swing. "My daughter and I were going to get ice cream this afternoon. Nothing fancy, but the place makes their own waffle cones." There was a pause, and Carter immediately regretted the suggestion. What was he thinking, inviting a millionaire tech CEO for cheap ice cream? "That sounds lovely," Amelia replied, surprising him. "What time and where?" 2 hours later, Carter and Lily waited outside Scoops and Smiles. the local ice cream parlor that had been in the neighborhood for decades. Carter had explained to Lily that they were meeting a friend he'd helped at work, carefully setting expectations so she wouldn't be disappointed if Amelia didn't show. "Is that her, Daddy?" Lily pointed as a woman approached on foot. Carter turned, expecting to see Amelia arriving in her luxury car with a driver. Instead, she was walking toward them in jeans, a simple blouse and ballet flats, her auburn hair loose around her shoulders. Without the formal business attire, she looked relaxed and approachable, beautiful in a completely different way. "Miss Nelson," Carter greeted her, "please call me Amelia." She smiled down at Lily. "And you must be the famous Lily I've heard about." Lily nodded solemnly. "Daddy says you got stuck in an elevator and he helped you get out." "He certainly did," Amelia replied. "Your dad was very brave and strong." Lily beamed with pride, and Carter felt a flush of pleasure at the simple compliment. Inside the ice cream shop, Lily carefully deliberated between flavors before selecting strawberry with rainbow sprinkles. Amelia chose coffee in a waffle cone, and Carter went with his usual chocolate. They sat at a small table by the window, Lily chattering away about school and her best friend Emma. To Carter's surprise, Amelia listened intently, asking questions and laughing at Lily's 6-year-old humor. "So what do you do when you're not rescuing damsels from elevators?" Amelia asked Carter as Lily focused on preventing her ice cream from dripping. "Work, parent, sleep occasionally," he answered with a small smile. "Not much time for anything else these days." "Lily mentioned her mom isn't around," Carter nodded, lowering his voice slightly. "She left when Lily was 2, decided parenthood wasn't for her." "I'm sorry," Amelia said, and he could tell she meant it. "That must be challenging, we manage." Carter changed the subject. "What about you? What does a tech CEO do on weekends?" Amelia laughed. "Usually conference calls, emails, charity galas. This is honestly the most normal thing I've done in months." "Eating ice cream is normal," Lily declared with authority. "Everyone should eat ice cream." "Wise words," Amelia agreed, toasting Lily with her cone. As they finished their treats, Lily asked if they could walk to the duck pond in the nearby park. Carter glanced at Amelia, ready to excuse her from further obligations, but she was already nodding enthusiastically. "I haven't fed ducks in years," she said. "Do they still like bread?" "It's not good for them," Lily explained seriously. "We bring duck food from the machine. It costs quarters." The afternoon stretched pleasantly as they walked around the pond, Lily tossing food to the eager ducks while Carter and Amelia talked. He learned that her company developed accessibility software for people with disabilities, that she'd built it from a dorm room project to an international business, and that despite her success, she lived alone in her penthouse with a cat named Algorithm. "Most of my friends are either people who work for me or people who want something from me," she admitted as they sat on a bench watching Lily play on the grass. "It's hard to know who's genuine." "I can imagine," Carter said, though he really couldn't. His financial struggles were the opposite of her problems, yet there was something about her honesty that resonated with him. When it was time to leave, Lily surprised them both by hugging Amelia's legs. "Can you come for dinner sometime? Daddy makes good spaghetti." Carter began to apologize for his daughter's directness, but Amelia knelt down to Lily's level. "I'd like that very much if your dad is okay with it." They both looked at Carter expectantly, and he found himself nodding. "How about next Friday? Nothing fancy, but the sauce is homemade." "Friday would be perfect," Amelia said with a smile that made his heart beat a little faster. As they said goodbye, Carter felt a mixture of emotions he couldn't quite name. Amelia Nelson was from a different world, one of boardrooms and business deals, while he struggled to make ends meet. Yet today, eating ice cream and feeding ducks, those differences had seemed to fade away. Throughout the week, Carter and Amelia exchanged text messages. What started as coordination about Friday's dinner evolved into sharing small moments of their days. Amelia sending a photo of Algorithm sleeping on her laptop keyboard. Carter sharing Lily's art project from school, discussions about books they'd both read and movies they wanted to see. By Friday, Carter was nervous in a way he hadn't been in years. He left work early, using some of his saved vacation time, and spent the afternoon cleaning their small apartment. It wasn't much, just one main room with a kitchenette, plus a tiny bedroom and bathroom, but he made it as presentable as possible. Lily helped set the table with their mismatched plates and folded paper napkins into triangles. "Is Miss Amelia your girlfriend?" she asked as they stirred the sauce. "No, sweetheart, she's just a friend," Carter replied, though the butterflies in his stomach suggested he might want something more. At exactly 6:30, there was a knock at the door. Amelia stood in the hallway holding a small bouquet of daisies and a bottle of wine. "I wasn't sure what to bring," she said with an endearing touch of uncertainty. "Flowers," Lily exclaimed, taking the daisies. "I'll put them in water. We have a mason jar that can be a vase." Carter welcomed Amelia in, suddenly seeing their apartment through her eyes, the futon couch that became Lily's bed at night, the small TV balanced on a second-hand bookshelf, the kitchen table that doubled as his desk when Lily was asleep. But if Amelia noticed the stark contrast to her penthouse, she didn't show it. Instead, she complimented the colorful artwork Lily had hung on the walls and the smell of tomato sauce simmering on the stove. Dinner was simple but delicious spaghetti with meatballs, garlic bread, and a salad. The conversation flowed easily, with Lily dominating much of it, until Carter tucked her into bed at 8 o'clock with a story and a kiss goodnight. When he returned to the main room, Amelia was washing dishes at the sink. "You don't have to do that," he said, grabbing a dish towel to dry. "I want to help," she replied, passing him a clean plate. "This was the best dinner I've had in ages. Better than the 5-star restaurants you must go to. Much better. Those are all business meals where I have to be on all the time." She handed him another plate, their fingers brushing. "Tonight I could just be myself." Carter set down the dish towel and turned to face her. "And who is that, exactly? The real Amelia Nelson?" She looked up at him, their faces inches apart in the small kitchen. "Someone who's been successful in business but not so much in life. Someone who has everything and nothing at the same time." Her voice softened. "Until recently, anyway." Carter wasn't sure who moved first, but suddenly they were kissing, her hands on his shoulders, his at her waist. It was gentle at first, then deeper, full of a longing he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I shouldn't have done that." "Why not?" she whispered. "Because you're you and I'm me," he said simply. "We're from different worlds." Amelia stepped back, her eyes serious. "Do you really think that matters to me?" "It should," Carter replied. "I'm a maintenance worker raising a daughter in a studio apartment." "You're a woman who hasn't been as happy as I've been this past week in longer than I can remember," she finished for him. "Carter, I don't care about any of that." He wanted to believe her, but years of struggling had made him practical. "People will talk. You're bored, you're investors." "Let them," she said with a flash of the determination that had built her empire. "I didn't get where I am by caring what people think." They finished the dishes in silence, the tension between them thick with unspoken feelings. As Amelia prepared to leave, she paused at the door. "I have a charity gala tomorrow night," she said. "Would you come with me?" "As my date," Carter hesitated, thinking of the rent money he'd finally scraped together, the additional cost of a babysitter. "I don't have a suit," he admitted. "It's black tie," she said, then hurried on, "but I can have something delivered tomorrow. Please say yes." Looking into her hopeful eyes, Carter couldn't refuse. "Yes," he said simply. The next day, a delivery arrived with a garment bag containing a perfectly fitted tuxedo and shining dress shoes. Carter stared at them, wondering how she had guessed his measurements so accurately. Included was a note. "No arguments. See you at 7. That evening, after arranging for Mrs. Patel to watch Lily, Carter waited outside his building feeling like an imposter in the expensive clothes. A black car pulled up, and Amelia stepped out wearing a stunning emerald gown that matched her eyes. "You look incredible," she said, straightening his bow tie. "So do you," he replied, still unable to believe this was happening. The gala was held at the Grand Metropolitan Hotel, its ballroom filled with the city's elite. As they entered, Carter felt eyes turning toward them, whispers following in their wake. Amelia held his arm confidently, introducing him to various business associates and friends. "Carter is in building maintenance and operations," she would say, refusing to downplay his profession. And to his surprise, most people engaged him in genuine conversation, asking about his work or commenting on the complexity of maintaining large structures. Late in the evening, as the orchestra played and couples moved onto the dance floor, Amelia led Carter to a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. "Are you having an awful time?" she asked, concern in her voice. "Not at all," he answered truthfully, "though I am a bit out of my element." "For what it's worth, you're handling it better than most tech entrepreneurs handle their first black tie event." She smiled, then grew serious. "Carter, I need to tell you something." His heart sank, expecting her to gently explain why this couldn't work between them. "I've been thinking about expanding my company's community initiatives," she continued. "One idea I've been developing is a program to support single parents in technical education and career advancement." Carter blinked, surprised by the business turn in conversation. "That sounds like a wonderful program. I'd like to offer you a position helping to develop and eventually run it," she said. "You understand the challenges single parents face better than anyone I could hire. The salary would be substantial, with flexible hours to accommodate Lily's schedule." Carter stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "Are you offering me a job out of pity?" "Absolutely not," Amelia replied firmly. "I'm offering you a job because you're intelligent, resourceful, and would bring valuable perspective to the role." "This program was in development before I met you." Carter wasn't entirely convinced. "And what about us? Wouldn't that complicate things?" Amelia took his hands in hers. "Carter, I'm offering you the job because you deserve it. What happens between us personally is separate." She paused. "Though I hope very much that there will be something between us." "I can't be a charity case, Amelia," he said quietly, "and I won't let Lily be one either." "You're not charity, you're an opportunity," she insisted, "for the program and for me personally." She squeezed his hands. "Think about it, that's all I'm asking. The offer stands regardless of what happens with us." Carter looked out at the city lights, thinking of the possibilities her offer represented: financial stability, a career path, a better life for Lily. But he also thought about his pride and the complications of mixing business with whatever was growing between them. "I'll think about it," he promised. The following weeks brought significant changes. After careful consideration, Carter accepted a modified version of Amelia's offer, working part-time as a consultant on the program while maintaining his maintenance job. This arrangement preserved his sense of independence while allowing him to contribute his expertise. His relationship with Amelia deepened as they navigated their different worlds together. She became a regular visitor at his apartment for movie nights with Lily. He accompanied her to business functions when he could. They discovered shared interests in hiking, old movies, and terrible puns that made Lily roll her eyes. 3 months after the elevator rescue, Carter and Lily moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in a modest but safe neighborhood. Though Amelia had offered financial assistance, Carter insisted on finding a place he could afford on his own combined incomes. One evening, as they walked through a local street fair, Lily ran ahead to look at a face painting booth. Amelia slipped her hand into Carter's. "I have a confession," she said. "The day I got stuck in that elevator, I was actually on my phone arguing with my assistant and missed the out-of-order sign." Carter laughed. "So you're saying it was your fault?" "Completely," she admitted with a grin. "But it was the best mistake I've ever made." "For me too," he said, pulling her close for a kiss. That night, After tucking Lily into bed in her new room decorated with space-themed wallpaper, Carter joined Amelia on the small balcony of their new apartment. "I've been thinking," she said, looking up at the stars. "The program launch is in 2 months. After that, would you and Lily consider moving in with me?" Carter was silent for a moment, considering. "Your penthouse is beautiful, but it's not really set up for a 6-year-old hurricane." "I wasn't suggesting the penthouse," Amelia replied. "I was thinking we could find a place together, somewhere that would be ours, not mine that you moved into." The suggestion touched him deeply. Despite her wealth, Amelia consistently showed that she valued his input and respected his need to contribute equally to their relationship, even if financially they would never be on equal footing. "I'd like that," he said. "Though I should warn you, Lily will insist on a yard for a puppy. She's been campaigning for months. Algorithm might need some convincing about the dog situation, but I'm sure we can work something out." Amelia leaned against him. "Maybe a house in that neighborhood near Lily's school, the one with the good park." 6 months after the elevator incident, they moved into a comfortable 4-bedroom house with a fenced backyard. It wasn't ostentatious by Amelia's standards, but it was perfect for their newly blended family, including Lily, Algorithm, and Cosmic, the shelter puppy they adopted together. The Parent Pathways program launched successfully, with Carter eventually moving into a full-time director position. His experience in maintenance proved unexpectedly valuable in developing practical training programs, and his empathy for struggling parents shaped the program's family support services. 1 year to the day, after their first meeting, Carter took Amelia back to scoops and smiles. Lily, now 7, bounced excitedly beside them, in on the secret Carter had planned. After they ordered their usual flavors, Carter excused himself to check on something and spoke quietly with the owner. When they sat at their table by the window, the same one they'd sat at a year ago, the server brought their ice cream with a small velvet box balanced on top of Amelia's coffee cone. "What's this?" Amelia asked, eyes widening as she picked up the box. Carter moved to one knee beside the table, aware of the other customers watching with smiles. "Amelia Nelson, you crashed into my life because of a broken elevator and a missed warning sign," he said, taking her free hand. "Every day since then has been an adventure I never expected, but now can't imagine living without." He nodded to the box. "Open it." With trembling fingers, Amelia opened the box to reveal a ring not ostentatiously large, but beautifully designed with a center diamond surrounded by smaller stones. "Will you marry me?" Carter asked. "Will you keep building this life with Lily and me? Say yes." Lily Stage whispered, making the watching customers laugh. Tears filled Amelia's eyes. "Yes," she said, pulling him up for a kiss as the ice cream shop erupted in applause. Later that evening, as Lily slept and they sat together on the porch swing of their home, Amelia rested her head on Carter's shoulder. "You know, I almost took the stairs that day," she mused, looking at her ring. "I was running late and thought the elevator would be faster." "And I almost traded shifts with Frank," Carter added. "If he'd been on duty that day, he would have been the one to help you out." "I don't believe that," Amelia said. "I think we were meant to meet one way or another." "Maybe," Carter agreed, pulling her closer. "But I'm glad it was that broken elevator that brought us together." "It wasn't broken," Amelia corrected with a smile. "Just temporarily stalled, like both of us were before we met." As the evening stars appeared above them, Carter thought about the journey they'd taken from a maintenance worker and a millionaire CEO with seemingly nothing in common to partners building a life together. The path hadn't always been smooth, with adjustments and compromises on both sides, but every step had been worth it. "I love you," he whispered into her hair. "I love you too," she replied, twining her fingers with his. "All because of a stalled elevator and a man brave enough to reach down and pull me up." "Best maintenance call I ever answered," Carter said with a smile, as they sat together planning their future, no longer divided by circumstance but united by choice.